Okay, so, wow, you guys have sent in a ton of stuff about endometriosis this time around.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of it focusing on like this connection to vaginal health. Really fascinating stuff. So we're going to try to break it all down, get to the most important parts and like skip past all the overly technical stuff and just give you those key takeaways.
Yeah, exactly. For a lot of people, endometriosis is something they're already familiar with. It's basically a condition where tissue, very similar to the lining of your uterus, starts to grow outside of the uterus. And, well, it's a pretty big issue. Affects tons of women all over the world. A lot of the time, the focus is on things like pelvic pain and those, heavy, difficult periods. But we're going to sort of dive into a side of it that doesn't always get as much attention, the impact endometriosis can have on your vaginal health, down there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like our mission today basically is to really try and understand how endometriosis can mess with the balance in the vagina.
Right.
Pretty delicate environment.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about the vaginal microbiome, which you might have heard of, super important. We're going to explain what that is and why it matters,
Yeah.
especially with endometriosis. And then we'll get into like what you can actually do about all this, what options are out there to sort of manage these different issues all kind of tangled up together. Oh, and here's a little tidbit that might surprise you. Endometriosis doesn't just affect like the reproductive stuff. It can have a pretty noticeable effect on how comfortable you feel, in your vaginal area, and even make you way more prone to getting certain infections down there.
Right.
So, yeah, let's get into all of it. What do you say?
Absolutely. I think a good place to start is to, really look at that basic question of how exactly endometriosis affects vaginal health. It's not like a direct attack, but more like a chain reaction, and it all starts inside.
Right, yeah, like a domino effect kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so first up, we got to talk about this thing called chronic inflammation. It's like, this tissue that's similar to your uterine lining, it's hanging out where it shouldn't be, right? So
Yeah.
your body's like, wait, what's going on here? And it triggers this natural defense system. It basically tries to fight off this misplaced tissue. And that whole process, that's what leads to the inflammation. But the thing is, it doesn't just stay put where that, rogue tissue is.
Yeah.
It can actually spread throughout your entire pelvic region. And you know what that means for your vagina? Trouble.
Yeah, totally. It's like all that ongoing inflammation. It can be super irritating, for those delicate tissues down there. And when your vaginal tissues get all inflamed like that, they become way more sensitive. It's like, imagine if you had a patch of skin that was already like rubbed raw. It's
Yeah.
just going to be more prone to like more irritation, even tiny little tears. And yeah, sadly, it makes infections way more likely. And all of that translates to, well, general discomfort, pain during sex, and even just simple everyday things like using a tampon can become like a whole ordeal.
Ugh. Yeah, I could see how that would be a problem. And it seems like hormones are like a huge part of this whole equation, right? Especially estrogen,
Yeah.
because it's so closely tied to endometriosis.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really important point to consider. Like, often with endometriosis, there's this tendency towards what's called estrogen dominance. It's where your estrogen levels are kind of out of whack, higher than they should be. And what's fascinating is how those elevated estrogen levels can directly affect the environment in your vagina. They can actually change the pH balance down there. And that's crucial because, you know, the good bacteria that live in your vagina, primarily this one called lactobacillus, they need a slightly acidic environment to thrive. So when the pH changes, it throws off their whole delicate balance.
Okay, so I'm following. So basically, if we have less of that good lactobacillus bacteria,
Yeah.
that basically leaves the door open for like other not so friendly microbes to move in and set up shop, right? And that's when we start seeing those pesky infections popping up more often, isn't it?
You got it. That's exactly it. When the vagina's natural defenses, like that protective barrier and the microbiome, are all weakened, it's like a welcome mat for all the bad bacteria and yeast. They have a field day and just multiply like crazy. That's why women with endometriosis are more likely to experience those recurring episodes of bacterial vaginosis, with that characteristic odor, itching, and that kind of off discharge. And then there's yeast infections too. Those are no picnics either. With all that intense itching and burning and that thick white discharge, it can really affect your quality of life. And it's not just limited to the vagina. There's actually a potential connection to urinary tract infections, UTIs as well, because when you have that chronic inflammation and your immune system's a little, overwhelmed, it's easier for bacteria to sneak their way up into the urinary tract.
Ooh, yeah, none of those sound fun at all. And then there's, the painful intercourse issue, dyspareunia. It's like a really sensitive topic, but it affects so many women with endometriosis. Sounds like there are a few different things related to endometriosis that can, contribute to that.
Yeah, for sure. There are a few things at play. First, you have the inflammation itself, in the vaginal walls and all those pelvic tissues surrounding the vagina that can definitely cause pain during sex. And then if you add in the hormonal imbalances we talked about, which can lead to dryness and make everything more sensitive, it's like a recipe for discomfort.
Mm.
And on top of all that, sometimes endometriosis can cause scar tissue and adhesions to develop, and those can make the pain even worse.
Right. Right. It's crazy how all of this is so interconnected in the body, right? It's like a
Yeah.
chain reaction, like you said. And it seems like in the end, it all comes back to that vaginal microbiome, the bacteria that live down there, that community of microbes. It's pretty crucial, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. When your vaginal microbiome is healthy and balanced, it's like having this amazing first line of defense. It's
Mhm.
mainly composed of those good lactobacillus bacteria we were talking about, and they have some like superpower jobs to do.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, like, specifically, what do they do? Why is this balance so important, especially for someone who's dealing with endometriosis, on top of everything else?
Okay, so first off, the most important thing they do is maintain that slightly acidic pH we talked about. Usually somewhere between 3.8 and 4.5. That acidity acts like a natural shield, making it really tough for a lot of the bad bacteria and yeast to grow. Then, on top of that, a healthy amount of lactobacillus actively prevents infections by competing for resources with the bad guys and even producing substances that can, like, straight up harm those invaders. And get this, they even help strengthen the actual lining of your vagina. They make it tougher and less likely to get reflamed. And last but not least, a balanced vaginal microbiome gives your local immune system a boost, helping your body fight off infections and manage all that inflammation. So for women with endometriosis who are already battling chronic inflammation and those hormonal ups and downs, keeping that vaginal microbiome strong and balanced is absolutely essential. It's like their secret weapon for fighting back against all those effects.
Wow. Okay. So the little lactobacillus are pretty impressive, huh? Like tiny warriors. But okay, if endometriosis is constantly messing with that balance, what can you do about it? The research we've been looking at mentions something called balance complex. What's the deal with that?
So Balance Complex is basically a vaginal probiotic, like a supplement. It's been formulated specifically for women who are dealing with the challenges of endometriosis. The idea behind it is to support vaginal health in a few different ways, like helping to bring the bacteria back into balance, reducing inflammation, and, offering a little extra protection against those annoying infections.
Gotcha. So it's taking aim at those key problems we've been talking about. We have a bunch of info on balance complex. Apparently, it's been around for a while, like over 10 years. They're calling it the original vaginal probiotic, and it looks like they've sold over 15 million capsules. So that's got to say something, right?
Yeah, definitely. It seems like it's pretty popular. And another thing that stands out is the concentration of probiotics in it. It's described as having 100, hold on, let me get this right, 100 CFUG billion probiotics, which is a lot. And then they've also got cranberry and demonose in there, which are known to support urinary tract health. Oh, and I saw that they have over 17,800 five-star reviews on Amazon, so people seem to be pretty happy with it.
17,800. Wow, that's a lot of good reviews. And it's not just like one or two kinds of probiotics either. They're saying it's a maximum strength, 17-in-1 strain blend, specifically targeting things like odor, itching, and discharge. And to top it off, it's non-GMO and made in an SDA-registered facility that's GMP certified. So they seem to be pretty serious about quality control. Plus, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee through Amazon, so, there's really not much to lose if you want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What's actually in this balance complex? Looks like there's a whole laundry list of ingredients.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Let's break down some of the main ones and what they're supposed to do. So first up, we've got Lactobacillus acidophilus, which we talked about before, the MVP for keeping that vaginal pH nice and acidic. Then there's Lactobacillus rhamnosus. This one is great for boosting your immune system and keeping the overall microbial balance in check. And then they've got Lactobacillus reuteri, which can help reduce inflammation and promote healing, for those irritated tissues. Oh, and there's also Lactobacillus plantarum, which is a bit of a multitasker. It provides antioxidant support and also helps to strengthen that vaginal barrier, making it more resilient. And last but not least, they've got Bacillus coagulans in there to make the microbiome more resilient overall. And like promote long-term balance. You see how each of these lactobacillus strains brings something unique to the party. Some are better at fighting specific bad bacteria. Others are really good at tackling inflammation. It's that teamwork that makes it effective, aiming to replenish your vaginal microbiome from all angles.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like an all-star team of good bacteria working together, right?
Yeah.
And then there's that cranberry and D-mannose blend we mentioned earlier. How does that fit into the whole picture?
Right. So cranberry and D-mannose, they work by making it harder for those bad bacteria to latch onto the walls of the urinary and vaginal tracts. So it's like they're making those surfaces slippery, so the bad bacteria can't stick around and cause trouble. That can be really helpful in preventing UTIs, which, as we talked about, are more common in women with endometriosis.
Ah, that's pretty clever. I see how that would work. Okay, so the list goes on. There are a few other ingredients that seem to have specific purposes, like oregano leaf extract, for example. What's that doing in there?
Oregano leaf extract is a natural antimicrobial, so it's like nature's little helper for keeping those levels of bad bacteria and fungi in check. And the good thing is, when it's used correctly, it doesn't mess with the beneficial microbes too much. It's like a targeted attack.
That's cool. And what about caprylic acid? What's that all about?
So caprylic acid is specifically included to deal with yeast overgrowth, which can be a real lifesaver for preventing those repeat yeast infections.
Ah, I see. And there are a couple more I haven't heard of. Protease and cellulase, they sound like enzymes. What do they do?
You're right, they are enzymes. And what they do is pretty cool. They help break down biofilms. Have you ever noticed that sticky film that builds up on your teeth if you skip brushing for a while? That's biofilm. And bacteria create it as a kind of protective shield to make themselves harder to get rid of. So protease and cellulase, they act like a sort of biofilm dissolver, breaking down that shield so the probiotics can actually get in there and do their job effectively.
Oh, that's smart. Like giving the good guys an advantage. And then there's aloe vera leaf. We usually think of that for soothing skin irritation, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly why it's in Balance Complex. It helps to reduce inflammation and soothe those irritated vaginal tissues, giving them a chance to heal properly.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, there's one here I have no idea about. Arabinogalactan. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, arabinogalactan is a type of prebiotic fiber. Basically, prebiotics are like food for the good bacteria. They help them grow and thrive, and they also support your immune function.
Ah, okay, so it's like fertilizer for the good guys.
Yeah.
And then we have a few more. Aniseed, black walnut hulls, and wormwood. Those sound more like traditional herbal remedies, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So anise seed is known for its antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties, which can be really helpful for soothing those irritated tissues. Black walnut hulls have antifungal and antibacterial properties, helping to keep that microbial balance in check. And wormwood, well, it's traditionally used to support immune resilience and maintain a healthy environment for the good microbes in your body.
And last but not least, we have reishi mushroom. I feel like I've heard of that, but I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what it does. It seems to be like a trendy wellness thing these days.
Yeah, it's pretty popular right now. Reishi mushroom is an adaptogen, which means it can help your body deal with stress. But it's also known for its ability to reduce chronic inflammation, promote healing, and strengthen the immune system, all of which are super beneficial for women who are dealing with endometriosis.
So it sounds like Balance Complex is trying to be like a multi-pronged approach to supporting vaginal health, combining probiotics with ingredients that specifically target inflammation, fight off bad microbes, and give your immune system a boost.
Yeah, that seems to be the goal of their formulation.
Okay, so that all makes sense. But, supplements are only part of the picture, right?
Yeah.
Our research also emphasizes that a holistic approach is really key. Beyond taking Balance Complex, or any supplement for that matter, what are some of the most effective lifestyle changes our listener could make to support both their endometriosis and their vaginal health?
Oh, for sure. Lifestyle changes are huge. One of the most important things you can do is try to reduce those inflammatory triggers in your diet. What I mean is, try to eat more anti-inflammatory foods, like lots of fruits and veggies and those good omega-3 fatty acids. And at the same time, try to cut back on processed foods and refined sugars because those can really make inflammation worse.
Right. That makes total sense. I feel like we hear that advice for a lot of different health problems that involve inflammation. What else is there?
Well, this one might seem basic, but it's really important. Make sure you're staying hydrated. When you drink enough water, it helps keep all your tissues healthy, and it can really help with vaginal dryness, which we know can be a big source of discomfort.
Yeah, true. Staying hydrated is one of those things it's easy to forget about, but it makes a big difference. What about, like, the products we use? Can those have an impact on vaginal health?
Absolutely. Practicing gentle self-care down there is key. What I mean by that is try to choose soaps, laundry detergents, and feminine hygiene products that are fragrance-free and hypoallergenic. That'll help minimize any potential irritation to those delicate vaginal tissues.
Makes sense. And I guess we can't forget about the impact our overall well-being has on conditions like endometriosis, right?
Exactly. Taking care of your mind and body is crucial. Things like regular exercise and stress management techniques like yoga or meditation can be incredibly beneficial. They can help manage inflammation throughout your body and even help with the pain associated with endometriosis.
And of course, there's that one thing we should always do when we're dealing with any health concern.
See your doctor. Seriously, regular checkups are so important. They help make sure your endometriosis symptoms are being managed properly and that your vaginal health is on track. Plus, your doctor can give you personalized advice and guidance based on your individual needs.
Couldn't agree more. Regular checkups are definitely a must. Okay, so there's one more resource mentioned in the research we've been looking at, vaginalquiz.com. What's that all about?
So vaginalquiz.com is basically this quick online quiz, backed by science, that's supposed to give women a personalized assessment of their vaginal health in like less than 2 minutes. It's meant to be a starting point for women who are experiencing things like discomfort, dryness, odor, or just that feeling that something's off down there, but they don't really know where to turn. And it really stresses that these kinds of vaginal health issues are super common, not something to be embarrassed about. They can be caused by all sorts of things like hormones, diet, stress, even the products you use. So the quiz is meant to give you some clarity and like a direction to go in.
Okay, so it's for those times when you're like noticing these things and you're looking for some answers, but you're not quite ready to run to the doctor or spend hours searching online, right?
Exactly. It's like a first step to getting some information and taking some control.
So what happens after you take this quiz? What kind of information do you get?
Well, once you finish the quiz, they give you this like personalized breakdown of your vaginal health.
Yeah.
They point out potential imbalances that might be causing your symptoms and offer some expert-backed suggestions tailored to your situation and your lifestyle. It might include things like recommendations for specific supplements or, changes you can make in your daily routine to help restore a healthy balance and just overall improve your intimate health.
Gotcha. So it's like a little guide or a cheat sheet to help you understand what's going on and take action.
Exactly. It's supposed to make you feel more informed and in control of your vaginal health. And if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, they encourage you to go to vaginalquiz.com and take the quiz.
Cool. Okay, so looking at all of this, it seems like managing endometriosis isn't just about treating those little bits of misplaced tissue, right?
Yeah.
It's about understanding how it affects your whole body, including your vaginal health, which often gets overlooked.
Totally. What we've talked about today really shows just how interconnected everything is in our bodies. For women who are living with endometriosis, paying attention to their vaginal health, understanding that super important role of the vaginal microbiome, and taking a holistic approach that includes lifestyle changes and, maybe some targeted support like Balance Complex can make a huge difference in their overall well-being and quality of life.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. It's given you, our listener, a much clearer picture and a great starting point for taking control of your health journey. But as you're thinking about all of this, I want you to consider this. How many things about your health that seem totally separate are actually connected in some way? And what's one small, easy thing you can do today to support that overall balance within yourself? It's something to think about as you move forward on your path to better health.